Hey guys, we're going to take a look at the encounter against the Paragons of the Klaxxi, the 13th and penultimate boss encounter in the Siege of Orgrimmar. The Klaxxi are siding with Garrosh for lore reasons that we won't go into at this time, but all you need to know is that they are now hostile to you. This is a council fight during which you will have to defeat 9 bosses. At the start of the fight, 3 bosses will activate, and from then on, each time a boss is killed, a new boss will enter the fight. Also, each time a boss is killed, the other active bosses are healed to full health and they gain a permanent damage bonus. The order in which the bosses activate is randomly decided at the start of each lockout. The bosses have 2 to 3 abilities each that they will regularly use against your raid. We will go over them rather briefly. Corvin the Prime casts a protective spell on any allied boss that is below 50% health, which encases them in amber, and if the amber is not killed within 10 seconds, heals that boss to full health. He also uses an ability that stuns his tank and then deals very large damage in a cone in front of him. This will probably require the other tank to taunt Corvin, but on the PTR it was not really problematic. Yokuk the Lucid has a rather complex mechanic which boils down to the fact that he will regularly link several random raid members with damaging fire lines. These lines deal damage not only to these players but to anyone else who comes in contact with them. The damage done by the lines is lower the farther away the linked players are from one another. This boss also regularly casts a spell called Diminish, which damages a random raid member for 34% of their current health and instantly kills them if they are below 25% health. Karaz the Locust has 2 abilities. He charges random raid members in quick succession, dealing damage to them and any other players around these targets. He also jumps up to a platform located above the raid where he is unattackable, from where he throws down damaging amber void zones at the raid. Kilruk the Wind Reaver stacks a debuff on his current tank, which causes the attacks of Xaril the Poisoned Mind, another boss, to deal more damage to that player. He also incapacitates his current tank, followed by dealing high damage to them. Lastly, he will sometimes jump into the air and then down on a random player with a bit of warning, dealing damage in an area. Xaril the Poisoned Mind stacks a debuff on his current tank, which causes the attacks of Kilruk the Wind Reaver to deal more damage to that player. He has another ability which is a bit more complex. He assigns a color, either red, blue or yellow, to each raid member and then at regular intervals essentially detonates all players that have a particular color. The red color players deal damage in an area around them, the blue color players deal higher damage split between players in an area, and the yellow color players drop void zones that deal damage to players standing in them. Kaztik the Manipulator summons several hungry Kunchongs when he becomes active. These adds are normally inert and invulnerable. At certain moments though, Kaztik will select a random raid member and mesmerize them, essentially causing that player to lose control of their character and walk slowly towards one of the hungry Kunchongs. In turn, that Kunchong will become vulnerable and it will instantly kill the mesmerized player if they reach the Kunchong. The mesmerize effect is broken if the Kunchong takes 30% of its health and damage. Basically, your raid just needs to switch DPS to whichever hungry Kunchong the mesmerized player moves towards. Kaztik also deals damage to a random raid member as well as to any other raid members caught in the path between the boss and the initial target. Rikal the Dissector stacks a debuff on his tank, causing Skier the Bloodseeker to deal more damage to that player, and in turn Skier has a similar ability. Rikal also stacks a debuff on his current tank, which at 10 stacks causes several adds to spawn. Skier the Bloodseeker regularly summons 4 adds that move to active bosses and heal them when they reach them based on the adds' remaining health. Hisek the Swarm Keeper deals moderate physical damage to random raid members. Moreover, he will regularly select a random raid member and then deal a large amount of damage to that player, split between all players in a line between Hisek and his target. Each of the players in the line also deals damage in a 5-yard area around them, so you will need to actually form a proper line rather than just stacking. Finally, it should be mentioned that your raid members can gain beneficial abilities by interacting with the corpses of the bosses. We will only say that on the PTR making use of these buffs was hardly necessary. We will of course cover them in detail for the live version of the fight. That's it for this fight. Thank you for watching and remember to subscribe.